Hello everybody. This is a continuing series of different methods to use using DraftSight, the free version that you can download. One thing I wanted to make clear is that I'm not teaching drafting. Drafting is a skill that is very much more in depth than what I'm showing you here. The only time I show you dimensions, etc., is so that you can follow along and make these patterns yourself. As you can see here, I've created what I would call a flange, and it's a weld type flange with a weld joint, which we haven't created yet. But what I want to show you in this video is how to create a circular pattern using some of the patterns feature of DraftSight, and we're continuing to do a little projection here from my last video showing a little bit of projection. You can look at my last video, go to my channel and view the projection video. And here I've got my top view up here, and I have all my lines projected down so that I can create my other projection down here. And I'm going to zoom in here so that you would want to create this yourself if you're following along. This is all in inches, so keep that in mind if you're using the SI units, metric. So you can convert that if you wish. So the diameter of this flange, we're going to call it a weld flange, is 12 inches, and the diameter of this hub is 5 inches, and the hole through the middle is 3 1/4 inches. And these holes in this bolt circle, the diameter is 0.9375 or 15/16 diameter. And you notice here I've put center lines, and they're centered on the center of this hole. I will show you how to do that here in a few minutes, but I wanted you to be able to follow along and draw this yourself if you want to freeze and get caught up drawing this. And then you can see I've changed the line style to -2, which is a standard line style that comes with DraftSight. And if you don't know how to load it, look at my previous video. I show you how to load a line style. And so I projected all of these so that I can create my projected view. And this center part will get a 37.5-degree angle when we're done, before we're done, so that you can weld. 37.5 degrees is a typical angle that you use on these, and we'll get to that later. But the main thing I wanted to reiterate here is this is not a drafting tutorial. This is a DraftSight using features of DraftSight tutorial. So let's start off by creating our circles. I'm going to recreate these circles and this bolt circle and these center lines so that you can follow along. You've already seen the projection lines and the projected view from the previous video. If you haven't, go look at that video. So we'll just jump over here and I'll show you how I'm going to just copy these and you want to copy with a reference point, and so I want to get zoomed in here and get right in the center, right there, and I'm going to paste it, and I want to kind of be even with that, so I want to get my E track so I can go right side by side. Okay, there's my initial circles without a bolt circle or center lines. And I'll show you how to do the bolt circle hole pattern, and I'll show you how to put center lines. So let's zoom in on this part, and let's create a hole for the bolt circle. I'll go ahead and put a dimension on that since I haven't done that. So let's go do a linear, and I'm just going to show it from the center point to the midpoint of there, so that you can see the radius of that bolt circle. So the radius of that bolt circle is 4.75 inches. That's 4 3/4 inches. So we'll create this hole at 4 3/4 inches from the center. So first we need, and as I've told you before, I use the command line a lot. So keep your eyes down here in this area when I enter things, rather than choose from the menu over here. I like to use the command line a lot. So I will enter C for circle, and what a nice feature of DraftSight is similar and it is similar to AutoCAD, is that you could pick this center point, for instance, and then you just press escape, and then you repeat the circle command and you use relative positioning. And keep your eyes down here, because I'm going to use relative positioning, and the way you do that is you use the @ symbol. So relative from the last point that I picked, which was the center of this circle. So I'm going to go left, which that's in the negative direction, left. So we're going to go left 4.75, and on the y-axis I want to go 0, so because I want it to be absolutely horizontal, so 0. So that's where it puts the center of that circle, and what it wants is the radius, but I'm going to just look down here again. I'm going to hit D for diameter and press enter. So now it wants you to specify the diameter. So as you recall, it was 0.9375 inches. Okay, now we have our first hole in place, perfectly horizontal to the center, and exactly 4.75 inches from the center. So we want to create a whole pattern now, a bolt circle, what it's called in the industry. And the way we do that is use pattern. So we click pattern, and we want a circular pattern. And what I like to do is select fill angle and total number of elements. So the fill angle, I'm going to put 360 degrees, and the total number of elements, I want 8. And it says no entity specified, so let's select entity. Select that guy. That's the one we want to create a pattern with. And the axis point, we want to select that as the center of this, because that bolt circle is going to rotate around this center point of this flange. So let's do a preview and see if we've done all right. So yeah, that's good. So what I want to do is right click. That will accept the pattern because we're previewing, right? So if I hit escape, if I wanted to change something, I would hit escape. I'd press escape on the keyboard. But I'm good with that, so I'm going to right click, and I have accepted that. So now I have my pattern on here, which is my bolt circle. Pretty straightforward. It's not bad. Not very hard at all. So now you see how I've created my flange and my hub and my bolt circle. So let's get back to our projection. And as I said, I've only put these diameters on here for your purpose so that you can create this same drawing if you want. Now, in order to put a center line, the first thing you have to do is you need to load the Centerline line type, which I already have. But the way you do that is you click Other, just a refresher, and you click Load. And that center line will appear in the list. So what I want to do is create a center line through the X and Y axis of this circle. And the way I do that is I change the line type to center after you've loaded it. And I want to create a line, which I'm going to type L and enter, which now it wants a line. And what I'm going to do is select the center point of that, and remember we have E-snap and E-track. What it will do once you select the center point of that circle and it has a little pop-up that says center point, then you can go up and select a point somewhere above this section of the drawing. So I'm going to select up there, and I'm going to go just a little less than, and this is just the way I do it. You may come up with better ways. I'm going to see how I'm extending less at the bottom than I am at the top. So I just click there because it's an arbitrary distance. And now what I'm going to do is select the line and move it from its center point. Excuse me. From its center point to the center of that circle. I mean, its midpoint to the center of that circle. So now I have my line perfectly aligned with the center point equally extending from top to bottom. And now I want to cross one, but I want it to be exactly like this one. So the best way to do it is to just select that one and copy with a just copy it. And then paste it in. Copy the reference point. And then paste it in. And you can paste it anywhere there. So then you select it again and you rotate it. And you want to select the midpoint as the rotate point. And as always, you have your E-snap. You can see the E-track line appear as I get perfectly perpendicular to that line. And so I'm going to just click there. I know that this line is perpendicular to that line. And then we move it again from its midpoint to the midpoint of that line. Now we have a perfectly centered center line that's the same size in both directions. Pretty straightforward. So now we have our center line, and we can jump back over here to our projection. As you can see, I've already drawn in the outline of my projection, and this length I've chosen 7 inches from here, and this flange I've chosen to be 2 inches thick. And this will be, you know, if you're designing something like this, you have, you know, for drafting, you have all kind of constraints that you would use depending on the strength of your materials and etc. You know, you want to keep it as lightweight as possible, but as strong as possible. So it's a balancing act. Again, we're not teaching drafting or mechanical designing here. We're just showing how to do a projection in DraftSight. So you can see my solid line outline of my projection, but I want to keep these whole projections all the way through. So the easiest way to do that is to do a trim. I'm showing you the menu item because it will help you see where the menu location is and what it looks like. So click trim, and what I want to do is select that line and then right click, and I want to trim this and this and this and this. And we're just going to repeat trim. We'll select that as the cutting edge. Right click, that doesn't enter, and select that one, that one, that one, and that one. As you can see, it's gotten rid of all those lines. Now, on this line for my holes and these 2 lines for the center hole through the flange, I want to trim them here, and I'll explain that later. So let's go ahead and repeat trim. We'll select this as a cutting edge. Right click and click that, and that. So now we have all of our dash lines going through our projected part. So just right click and enter. And now I'm going to show you a little trick here. I'm done with these lines. So I want to delete them. Okay, I want to get rid of these because we're done with those. That ends part one. This was getting very long, so I have to split it up into two parts. Meanwhile, I hope you're enjoying the picture of the shuttle riding piggyback. Part two will continue with this and finish this out for this portion for projections and patterns. Meanwhile, you guys keep doing everyday things. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.